Hello, I'm Chance the Riot,
And I'm Sergio.
and this is Brick Wall Cinema.
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
He slimed me.
We're ready to believe you.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
That's a big one.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass. Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Enough, I get the point.
Welcome back to Ghostbusters Month, everyone. And for our fourth installment, we are talking about Ghostbusters Afterlife, the third movie in the canonical Ghostbusters franchise. We don't talk about that 2016 one anymore. That doesn't exist in this universe. So let's get out the basic info right now. Rated PG-13 for supernatural action and suggestive references. Directed by Jason Reitman. Produced by Ivan Reitman. Written by Gil Keenan and Jason Reitman. And release date November 19th in 2021. And had a runtime of 2 hours and 4 minutes. A budget of $75 million. And in the US and Canada, it grossed $129 million. Pretty good. And it grossed worldwide of $204 million. Safe to say this was a huge success for everyone involved. And the Rotten Tomato score is 64% for critics and 94% for audiences. I'm not going to spoil it now, but I am teetering towards one or the other. I'm not going to say it yet. I'm going to keep it on the down low until now. And we have, let's get a synopsis for this. Two siblings, Trevor, played by Finn Wolfhard, and Phoebe, played by McKenna Grace, moved to a small town of Summerville, Oklahoma, with their new single mother, Callie, played by Carrie Coon, after she inherits property from her late grandfather. When the town experiences a rash of unexplained earthquakes, the kids, with the help of their science teacher, Mr. Gruberson, played by Paul Rudd, discover their family's link to the original Ghostbusters and the secret legacy their father left behind. So, let's get off our first impression, Sergio. What were your thoughts after seeing Ghostbusters Afterlife for the first time?
First time watching it?
Yeah.
I thought it was great. I really liked, first time watching it, I questioned a lot because I don't think I actually watched the original two before this one. I believe the first time I watched it, this was the first Ghostbusters Ghostbusters franchise I watched, and I didn't know much about the characters, but besides what you already explained. I do have several questions concerning about certain scenes, but I think we'll get into that later. I loved it a lot. The effects, the writing, and the character development were all pretty good. I don't really have any gripes about this one. Overall, it was very well done, and I loved seeing it on the screen. It was a great movie, and I love watching the story unfold.
So, I remember the day. It was on a Tuesday, and my godfather came to town. And shout out to my godfather. I don't know if he wants me to say his name out there, but I'm just gonna. He knows who he is. If he's listening, he introduced me to a bunch of old cartoons and movies from like for the 80s and everything like that. Like I remember, I still have a copy of DuckTales that he gave to me, like the old 80s cartoon. And he just always introduced him to me, and he introduced me to Ghostbusters too. So when he came to town, we're like, hey, there's a new Ghostbusters movie that came out. We went to go see it, and his mistake, he let me choose the showtime that we go the format we saw the movie in the theaters. And me not being familiar with 4DX at the time, dragged them to go see it with seats that shook back and forth with bubbles going everywhere, fire, heat everywhere, and smoke, physics, water spraying your face, the whole shabam. It was so fun though. But I understand why he doesn't want to go again for the new movie. But all that aside, the movie, when I saw the movie the first time, I cried because it was beautiful, man. I loved it. Some people might say it's poor taste. I think the exact opposite, but we'll get into that later. Let's talk about the characters. Who was your favorite character of the movie, Sergio?
I believe it's either was it Greg, the one the teacher?
You mean Gary Gruberson, played by Paul Rudd?
Yeah, it was either him or Podcast that I love the best.
Why podcast? I'm curious.
I can't exactly say why. I just found it charismatic to have this character that was just interested in what was going on, but also kind of realistic. He was charismatic to me enough that I found a lot of the stuff he was in humorous. I believe the scene that I loved most about him, most when he was in, was when he was walking with Phoebe back to her house, and when they stopped and he found out that she was living at the dirt farm where her grandfather passed away. He put out his camera and started recording her, and she was like, "Why are you recording me? Just in case you get pulled up and get by a dark entity." She was like, "Oh, okay." They just started walking away. I just found that funny how he was still recording it. It just cuts off in the middle of it.
I just love that
I
he's
found
like,
that hilarious.
I love he's like, so you're just gonna walk in there, huh? And he just pulls out his phone. Yeah. For me, I'm gonna go with Phoebe. I know she had to be monotone the whole movie, but those are my favorite type of characters, the ones that are able to convey emotion without actually visually showing it. Like you can see what's going on in their head as it goes along. She reminded me of, not in the same vein, but like Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory, or like Abed from Community, to where they're not really expressive like normal people would be, regular
I would
people
say
would be.
Sheldon's expressive. I've actually watched some of Big Bang Theory, and he does do expressive stuff, just not as often as the other characters.
Right. I take that back then. But you see where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah, when they have more subtext to them, and you get to read more into the character rather than just having it be all up in your face, as usually what most characters do.
Right. Let's talk about the other characters though too. Trevor, what do you think about him?
The one from Stranger Things, right?
Yeah, Finn Wolfhard.
Oh,
Is that it?
no, I'm not sure what to say about him because I didn't pay too much attention to his character because he is not much different from an average teenager. But I did see it interesting how he was able to fix up a car. How old is he supposed to be? He's 15, right?
Yes.
I found it pretty impressive how he was able to fix up the car at his age.
I didn't even think about
But
that.
yeah, other than that, we do not see most of him besides him trying to, oh, what's the word I'm looking for?
Riz up the girl. Riz up Lucky.
Oh yeah, that and that's his entire goal, which wasn't all that interesting. So he kind of blended into the background for me. Even for the scenes that he was in, he didn't really do much.
That's weird because like our marketing for the movie, they had like Finn Wolfhard is gonna be the new Ghostbusters movie. Like he's gonna be a big main character, but he's not really a main character. He's more like a secondary main character in a way.
He's part of the subplot that just gives more to the story of the main plot.
I guess so. Like he's in the movie the whole time.
And the only real contribution he gives to the main story was when the ghost comes out of that well that they're all at.
But then, even then, he wasn't really doing anything there. He was just talking to Lucky.
Yeah, that's what I meant by the fact that he doesn't do much besides be a regular teenager trying to talk to a girl.
Okay, so we already talked about podcasts and Luck. Let's talk about Lucky. What do you think of her?
To be honest, I noticed her even less than Trevor, mostly because there was little to her until the end, until the final act, in which she acts as part of the team when she puts on a proton pack and helps them defeat the ghost. Other than that, that's about it.
Do you think she has Winston syndrome in this too?
No, because unlike Winston, she wasn't part of the group until much later.
Around the same time period, though, time in the movie too. Like I would say, the point that she actually makes a big part in the movie is in the jail once they hit jail after they're trying to bust Muncher after destroying the whole town.
Yeah.
And even then, it was like 45 minutes into the movie, around the same time that Winston was introduced in the first movie, and around the same time when they got sued and where he was in Ghostbusters 2.
Do you think it's going to be a common thing where they keep doing this with the character?
I really don't want it to be. I don't want that at all.
Well, yeah, for the first movie, it didn't really make much sense besides the fact that he was a last minute cast. Where in this one, it makes more sense because she's not really part of the team.
Yeah, but also then
until,
again,
until the final act.
Yeah, but also in this movie, they have another thing I don't like in other major Hollywood movies lately. They have the only other black person in the town be her father. I know it's part of the story, but did it really need to be part of the story?
I cannot answer that. But
why not?
Wait, where are they? They're in Kansas, right?
Oklahoma.
Do you think they could have thought about the population demographic over there? Is that why they did this? Or I'm not sure if they did that much research into it. I'm not sure if they do that for movies. I was thinking something along those lines, but I know that's not usually what they do for movies, so that throws my whole theory out of there. But I think that they had her dad be some importance because they already introduced her into the whole thing, and they wanted them to have an interaction with her, so they made her her dad is a police chief so that she could be in there messing with them.
Also, then again, that scene with them talking, did it seem forced to you when they come across the sheriff and he's like, when they're like, hey, can we get our one phone call? I was like, yeah, sure. Who you gonna call?
To me, no, it did not seem forced.
Really?
No.
I thought like they're building it up so long. I paused it when we watched it because I'm like, Sergio, what do you think they're gonna say at this moment? Because it took so long for him to say it. It's building it up. Like, what's he gonna say? Is he gonna say it? He's gonna say it. He's gonna say, "Busted makes me feel good." No, he's gonna say. What if he just said that out of nowhere?
Technically, they do that in a new movie.
Oh, right. You're right. I didn't even think about. I forgot about that. It was in a trailer, but it might not be in the movie. And let's talk about Gary Gruberson, Paul Rudd's character.
To be honest, it didn't really feel like a character. It just felt like what was his name again? I'm sorry, I forgot his name.
Gary
The actors.
Gruberson.
The actors.
Oh, Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd. It felt more like Paul Rudd was actually just playing Paul Rudd.
Do you think that's why he got him as a role?
I think so. Because even though his role wasn't as essential to the plot, or not until later, he kind of stole the spotlight as soon as every time he came onto screen. For me, anyway.
Because he got to have all the funny lines.
True, but you gotta admit that Paul Rudd does do pretty good deliveries of comedic lines.
Yeah, he's great. But it's like, it's easy to make someone funny if they have the good lines to back up their good acting too. So I will say his most iconic scene is the scene of him at Walmart getting mauled by the Zool dogs.
I just remember when he sees the dog, and then he notices him, and as soon as he starts running, he throws the can of ice. He throws a bucket of ice cream.
You know what flavor ice cream that was?
It was Baskin Robbins, but I do not remember the flavor.
I don't remember the flavor either. But that gets me on to my next topic, the product placement in this movie. I feel like this is going to be a common trend, starting with this 2016 Ghostbusters movie. Actually, no, all the Ghostbusters movies have product placement in them. From the top of my head, with Ghostbusters 1, Twinkies. In the second one, they have a whole scene of them talking about Jell-O and saying, "Hey, this place looks like a big Jell-O mold. What's wrong with Jell-O? It's really good. It's really good. Good to eat a lot of it. You never get full with Jell-O. Like, we get the point. You like Jell-O." In the 2016 Ghostbusters movie, we had all Times Square advertising Sony products, and Twinkies and Pringles with Kate McKinnon eating him and saying, "What's he pop?" And in this one, I got a whole list of them. You ready for this?
Go ahead.
So YouTube gets the advertisement in this when she's looking at the old commercial from the first movie. Hostess Twinkies were inside of the glove compartment of the Ecto-1. Phoebe looks into Egon Spengler's old uniform. She sees a Crunch bar in there. And as we mentioned, the Paul Rudd has handles Baskin Robbins in his hand. Might even be a nod to Ant-Man. Walmart, obviously.
Oh, right. You mentioned also that Walmart was a product placement because it just had the whole story of him running into the store, right?
Yeah, and all the shelves are full. Ain't no Walmart looking that full.
Actually, most Walmarts look like that.
Sergio, I know you work for them, but be honest. Come on. Give us the deets. We got to know what happens behind a Walmart. What happens inside of a Walmart? Behind the walls of the Walmart.
What do you mean?
In between the walls of the Walmart. What's going on?
I'm confused. There's just people working.
That's why I meant. You think I missed anything else?
No, I wasn't sure what you were trying to ask because you kept asking what's behind the walls, what's between the walls. I wasn't sure if you were asking about what's happening in the back where people are shipping the stuff off the trucks and putting them onto the shelves, or if you're asking what's happening when people aren't around.
How many Walmarts can a Walmart mall before a wall can have too many malls?
What are you talking about?
Never mind. I already messed up the joke. Yeah, what do you think about the product placement in this?
To be honest, most product placements in movies I've seen are pretty subtle, and you have pointed out about some that I have missed that aren't actually that subtle. So for me, I didn't notice it all that much until you pointed most of them out.
Okay, but back to the cast. We have all the Ghostbusters come back for this, even though deceased ones.
Just the deceased one, right?
Huh?
Just the one, right?
Yes, Harold Ramis.
Yeah, I remember that one. You told me how much that was an emotional touch for you because of when he passed away before this movie became in the making, right?
Yes. So we got Janine Melnitz, who played Annie Potts, Winston Zeddemore as Ernie Hudson, Raymond Stantz as Dan Aykroyd, Peter Venkman as Bill Murray, and Dana Barrett as Sigourney Weaver back for this. What do you think of their return for this? What were your thoughts on this?
It felt kind of anticlimactic because they were being built up as this big reveal and this big victory kind of thing where they came in, but then it just went anticlimactic because it was the whole thing where the three of them are not enough to overpower it. They just kind of get tossed back onto the car, and it just felt anticlimactic until the end when they were actually able to do it when Egon came back.
Yeah, I think they also had that scene where they have to have in every single Legacy sequel where they have the pause once you see something from the first movie, like, whoa, yeah, your Spy Way No Way Home moments. You know what I'm talking about. Your in-game Avengers Assemble moments.
You mean those those long pauses where the camera pans onto a character or pans slowly to this character to emphasize that this is a big moment in the movie?
Yes. We also have some couple of cameos in this movie too, like J.K. Simmons as Ivo Shandor. Why was he in this movie?
To be honest, I'm not really sure. They just put him there, and it was gonna be this whole thing, but they just killed him off right away as soon as he came in.
And a brutal death too. Like he was split in half, and we saw the whole thing. Like, oh my god.
I think they wanted to have him for a bigger role, but they couldn't afford it or something. Had him for a small part and then just killed him off.
Probably. He does do a couple of small roles in that every now and then. Even in Across the Spider-Verse, he just did a couple of lines for J. Jonah Jameson. We got Stella Aykroyd as Deputy Medjuk. She was the cop that was making fun of Phoebe for being Dirt Farmer's granddaughter.
Oh, yeah.
We also have Bokeem Woodbine as Sheriff Domingo, the who you gonna call guy. It felt weird for him to be in this movie too. Like, he's in big movies too. Like, he's in Spider-Man Homecoming. He was the Shocker. I think the second version of Shocker, the one after he killed the other one, was like, oh.
I thought it was
like,
Jamie. I thought it was Jamie Foxx.
You're thinking of Electro.
Okay, then who you're referencing?
The Shocker from Homecoming.
I gotta rewatch that because I don't remember Shocker being in that movie.
Yeah, he was in the movie. It was during the prom scene.
Yeah, I gotta rewatch it because I do not remember much from that movie besides just Tom Holland being Spider-Man. That's about it. I gotta rewatch it. It's been such a long time since I watched any of the Spider-Man films besides the Sammy Raimi films.
Well, currently it's on Disney Plus.
Oh yeah, I found out about that. I'll watch that later though.
Back to Ghostbusters. This movie had a couple titles in different countries I thought might be cool to point out. So in Austria, they called it Ghostbusters Legacy.
That actually sounds like a pretty good idea for a film title.
Yeah, it does, and it was for Tron Legacy. Maybe I think that's why they changed it.
But Superman Legacy is also doing that.
No, they changed it. Now it's just gonna be called Superman. In the United States, when they were working on the movie, the fake working title for it was Rust City.
Was that so that it wouldn't, if it got leaked, no one would connect it back to what it was really was?
I think so.
Because I know they did that for Star Wars.
Also for this one, I think it makes sense. It make it a lot easier because there's not really much Ghostbusting that happens in this movie, and even if it did, it's in a small town.
Yeah, but it's kind of the same thing as they did in the first movie where they don't really go anywhere besides New York City.
Yeah,
Or
but
was it New York or was it Boston?
it was New York. Why do you think Boston?
I don't know. I get the two confused a lot, mostly because the accents that people do for those two places sound the same to me.
Okay. And in Cambodia, we have Ghostbusters Rise.
That actually sounds pretty cool.
I thought it was pretty lame, kind of, because
To me,
what's rising?
To me, oh, to me, it sounded the same way as Rise of TMNT.
Yeah, but there's nothing after Rise. It's just Ghostbusters Rise.
I think it was just the reference that the franchise is getting back on its feet again or something like that. Or maybe it could be something where the spelling is supposed to be backwards or something like that. Because I know in some languages and when you actually say it, it says it's supposed to mean the other way around. But when you translate it, it sounds out of order.
So it's like Rise Ghostbusters.
Yeah, or something like that. I'm not really sure.
Okay. The one in Canada, their working title in English was Bust City. Shut up. You immature. You're so immature, Sergio.
What? No, I was thinking it was something like Bus where they're always getting arrested.
Oh.
I know you thought about that. I know you thought I was thinking about the other thing. I did think about that, but at first I was like busting. Like I just kept thinking about the song, and then I thought about getting busted as being arrested.
Look
Then
where
I
your
thought about
mind
the other, huh?
look where your mind went to. Busting as in them getting busted all the time in the city. Meanwhile, I just thought let's get into our trivia. So when it was time to make a box set for the new Ghostbusters movies, like for 1, 2, and Afterlife, they didn't even think of putting the reboot one in there because they didn't think it had any fans. But when people started saying, "Hey, I kind of like it," they said, "You know what? Fine, I'll put a digital copy in there. You happy now?"
Okay, is that it?
For that, yes. No interesting. No thought about that.
No, because we said before that the movie wasn't all that bad, but there was nothing really interesting in it either, besides what was already in the Ghostbusters franchise.
But the thought that they were so easily dismissing the movie, saying, "No one even likes that. We're not even gonna put that on the box set for Ghostbusters." That's kind of nasty.
Haven't other studios done that with other movies that they are not proud of?
I mean, not really. I mean, they did before, but they're checking themselves now. I mean, even Superman, he had like only the main good ones are 1 and 4, 1 and 2. But then when they had the box set out, they're not gonna only do 1 and 2. They have to do 3 and 4. They can't just forget those ever existed. The only way to learn from your past is to not forget about it and
It's not
learn
that they're
from it.
forgetting about it, it's just that they don't want to ship it because they don't want to associate their brand with it.
Yeah, but that is your brand. If you have a blunder as big as Ghostbusters 2016, yes, you might not want to advertise that you made that movie, but if they are in a franchise with other movies that is based off of that are very popular, you can't just forget that it ever existed. It's like with the Justice League movie that came out on in theaters, the Joss Whedon version. It's
Or the
like,
Christmas special of Star Wars.
yes, with that movie, there's no way to find it besides like YouTube videos of it.
He's very protective of his franchise.
Yeah, right. I'm not gonna get into that though. You can't hide the shit that you do in this day and age anymore. We're all gonna know about
True,
it. And
but
if
in the entertainment industry, the movies that you have under your belt or you give to the public or even let out into the public through the internet or something like that, those can affect your brand on whether or not people have faith in the kind of movies you make.
yes,
Like think about Illumination or DreamWorks. They're starting to do more franchises with all their show. They always do a show with the movies that come out. That's pretty much expected now, as we said before. Remember?
Illumination.
No, I was talking about DreamWorks.
Oh yeah, DreamWorks. Okay, I got lost when you said that. Go ahead.
Yeah, DreamWorks is now known to always follow up its movies with a series. Depending on it varies on in quality, the writing anyway. The animation seems to be getting worse each year. But and Illumination seems to be focusing more on its franchises like Despicable Me. Now, those things are all part of the entertainment industry where they're now being known for these things. They're trying to keep themselves afloat. And they've been doing this for so long that that's become part of their brand where you expect it from them.
That's the thing though. If you fall over, you don't just spawn back up. You gotta work your way back up on your feet.
They do. It's just not in the same way by keeping that thing going because they're not making any money off of it, of producing it. Making these things, once it goes into theaters and it doesn't do that well, they don't make more copies of it because that would cost money and time. So instead, they focused their efforts onto actual movies that are actually beloved by the public and people would actually buy.
We're getting too deep in this hole right now, and we need to find a way to get out of this because
So then,
we can talk
what were
all day about this.
all right? So back to the fact that we were talking about the box set and how it came with 2016 one, right?
It didn't come with it,
So
but until like the last minute, it said, "Here's a paper with a code for it, so you can watch it on your computer."
all right. So what else did you want to talk about?
Okay, so yeah, so Bill Murray was one holding back to make Ghostbusters 3.
Wait, he was or wasn't?
He was.
Oh, okay. Why did he not like doing the work or?
I don't think that. I just think like he thought like we did our job, we're done. Sort of like what happened in the movie.
Oh, okay.
Because I also have another trivia about that. So the backstory on Egon's fallout with the rest of the Ghostbusters team actually parallels a lot of the fallout between Harold Ramis and Bill Murray during Groundhog Day, which is believed to have contributed to the language development of the third installment to the film. Knowing that now kind of makes more sense. You know what I mean?
I think so.
Do you know that in response to the film seeming to gloss over the elements of Ghostbusters 2, Jason Reitman, the director of this movie, said that the second movie is still canon and that it is possible to revisit Vigo in a potential sequel. Would you want that?
Wait, Vigo?
Yeah.
I do think because it felt like they had a lot of story or more stuff to go into it because Vigo is this whole new character that they created. And for him to be a one-off villain feels kind of like a letdown.
I honestly can care less. I didn't think it was that much of a villain, like a interesting villain enough in the first movie to be anything bigger.
I know, that's what I mean by they could have done more with him. He wasn't really that interesting. They didn't delve into his history or they just said like he was an evil guy and he's back to do more evil stuff. So it just felt like a one-note villain that they just didn't really do much with that they could have expended more on if they actually ever did make a sequel with him.
Okay, right. So there's an Easter egg in the movie. We already caught that there's like the tower of stacked books inside Egon's room.
Nobody stacks books like that.
And there's also a Toastmaster 2 slice toaster there.
I don't remember that.
It's in the kitchen.
A what?
A Toastmaster 2.
Toastmaster?
It's a Toastmaster 2 slice toaster.
Um,
From the second movie. And that's all we have for trivia. You know what time it is now? Now you know
what time is it?
Do you know what time it is?
No.
What time is it?
It's game time. I honestly don't know. I lost track of everything.
Wow, your roommate is really depressing. Thank you, Sergio.
How's it depressing?
Because you can't even find out how depressing this is. That's kind of depressing it alone. It's quiz time, Sergio. Get out your paper, get out your pencil, get out your cheat sheet, get out your water bottle with answers inside the wrappers.
That's it.
No. There's more. There's more.
Chance, that's it. That's it. You don't need to say anything else.
No, I don't need to. I have to.
Have to what?
Get your hand with work answers on it. No, I got this. Get your.
He's struggling, guys.
No, I'm not. Trust me. The way I'm editing this, you're gonna look like a fucking idiot.
He's struggling so much right now.
So I got 2 quizzes for you, Sergio. You get to choose. So
why 2?
Because I like to go one step beyond, Sergio.
So we're gonna keep doing this every time?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's fun.
For who?
For the audience. They're loving it. Don't you hear that applause? Wait, wrong button. Hold on. Wrong button. Hold on. Yeah, see, they want more. You want more? Yeah. Yeah.
You sound really enthusiastic.
They are. I told you. Don't let our fans down, Sergio. So we have 2 quizzes for you. Either the Ghost of Ghostbusters quiz or the Ultimate Ghostbusters quiz. Since I couldn't find a Ghostbusters Afterlife quiz, we're going to go as a whole.
Let's do the Ultimate Ghostbusters quiz.
Okay. All right. Question 1. In the first movie, Peter, Ray, and Egon are all professors in which college? Harvard University, Yale University, Columbia University, or MIT?
I'm going to say Columbia.
Correct. What is the name of Sigourney Weaver's baby in Ghostbusters 2? Jason, Lewis, Jack, or Oscar?
Oh, jeez.
You
I
wanted
don't know this too, though.
You wanted this.
Technically, you wanted it.
Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
What do you mean? You're the one who wanted to do these quizzes at the end of every episode.
No, don't worry about it. Go. Which one?
I'm gonna go with Oscar.
Correct. Who plays the mayor of New York in Ghostbusters Answer the Call? Andy Garcia, Charles Dance, Michael K. Williams, or Bill Murray?
Michael K. Williams?
You sure?
No, but it's the one I'm going with. I'm gonna stick to it.
Wrong. God, sir, you disappoint me every day of my life. It's Andy Garcia.
Andy Garcia?
Yes. If there's something weird, ... What's the next line in this Ghostbusters song? Running through your head, sleeping in your bed, in your neighborhood, or and it don't look good?
In your neighborhood.
You sure?
Yes.
Because it could be all of these.
Oh, it's true. They all do that. So, wait. Actually, they do that in the song. In each line. but I'm gonna go with In Your Neighborhood.
Nope. Nah, you're wrong, buddy. It don't look good. What is the name of Bill Murray's TV show in Ghostbusters 2? The Venkman Hour, World of the Psychic, Weirdness Weekly, or Peace Occult?
World of the Psychic, I think.
Yup. What is the name of Chris Hemsworth's character in Ghostbusters Answer the Call? Kevin Beckman, Rowan North, Ed Mulgrave, or Martin Heiss?
Kevin Beckman.
Correct. In the first movie, once he's possessed, Louis Tully introduces himself as Zool, the Keymaster, the Gatekeeper, or Gozer.
Keymaster.
Correct. During the court scene in Ghostbusters 2, what does the judge accidentally summon with his anger? The Scoleri brothers, Slimer, Janusz, or Vigo the Carpathian?
The Scoleri brothers.
Scoleri.
Scoleri.
Yes. Correct. What was the name of Melissa McCarthy's character in Ghostbusters Answer the Call? Patricia Tolan, Abigail Yates, Aaron Gilbert, or Jillian Holtzman?
Abigail Yates.
Correct. And for a final question, where did the Ghostbusters capture the first ghost? Dana Barrett's apartment, the Sedgwick Hotel, the New York Public Library, or the firehouse?
Wait, capture their first ghost?
Yes.
Okay, the Sedgwick Hotel.
Good job, man. You got 8 out of 10 right. That's a passing grade. Let's just get our ratings out, man.
I'll give this a 5 out of 5.
Really?
Yeah, it was a really enjoyable movie, and this was our second time rewatching it, but I enjoyed it thoroughly. There was nothing I could say bad about this.
Wow, I think this might be the first time where I might be lower than you on a movie I love. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Oh my god.
Why do you give it a 4 out of 5?
I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 because I love everything in it. I just thought that
There would be more?
no, not more, but more like Ghostbusting in it instead of nods and references, more actual doing of like doing new things with the Ghostbusters thing, like tech. Like I said with the Ghostbusters 2016 review, I love that they're embracing the new tech part of it, but I did not like how they were bringing back references to the original movie all the time.
I think that's something we actually talked about during the movie. Egon is supposed to be this genius, but his equipment is kind of outdated. His house doesn't even have any power, and his trap didn't work at first. They had to get a proton pack and shoot at the power supply to make it work,
Yes,
which meant that he had the equipment to make the power go, but when he actually tried it didn't turn on because the power from his house was not there.
what's your point?
How come he didn't think to take one of the proton packs, turn it into a battery because it's basically a nuclear reactor, as he said, and make it so that the trap could fire without having to rely the power on his house, which he knew that he hadn't paid.
I think because busting makes him feel good. I don't know, man. Why do you ask? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the kind of things that I questioned throughout the film. All these little details that seem to contradict these characters. Egon, he didn't really care how people saw him. He could be a jerk sometimes, but I don't think that he would go to the extent of which an entire town would hate him. I think the only part that actually showed how smart he was when he built the trap with the proton beams to keep the ghosts from coming out of the mountain.
I kind of like the idea of him being a jerk because whenever they make a movie with someone that passed away a long time ago, they always make it seem like they're a god or they're amazing. They even might be, but
Can you give an example?
Okay, I can't really find anyone right now, but what I mean by that is like, even if I can't find an example, I'm trying to say that it's kind of refreshing in a way. I don't know how to put this, but like, it feels refreshing knowing that like, even after they pass away, they're not going to make him like he's a good guy because it's not part of the movie. Like, we find out later he was still a good person. He just had his priorities in focus.
He had his priorities were elsewhere.
Yeah, his priorities were elsewhere and didn't know how to work both of them up, like multitask with them.
No, it's not that he had to multitask. It's just that he couldn't give his family the attention they needed while also being vigilant on the horizon of the impending doom that was coming.
Yes, and so it caught me off guard seeing that them saying, "Oh yeah, this guy he just comes in, buys supplies, and goes back to his dirt farm. He doesn't buy anything. He's just a dirt farmer. Look at him, building that dirt.
Well, yeah, but that's what I didn't get about this town. They seemed closely knit, or at least to the surface. Well, actually, they don't really care about anything on the surface. So it kind of threw me through a loop, saying how all these people came to have this negative connotation of Egon. Didn't really make sense.
And so he can have him have a reason for him to do all these things later in the movie, to where his family can love him again.
No, his family I get, but he kept to himself mostly. So I don't get how all these people in this town where he's living currently would have all this.
It's because they're all friendly, Sergio. So one person that's like trying to be quiet and just couldn't get his stuff done, people are like, look at him, thinking he's better than us, not talking to us. Who does he think he is? That's small town stuff, Sergio.
Okay.
It's like going to a family get together and not saying hi or greeting everyone there. And on that note, I think we should call this one episode. Or do you have any final remarks, Sergio?
No, I believe I said all I wanted to say. I think we're all good.
And I'm good here. I'm good on my end too. I'm Chance.
I'm Sergio.
Have a cinematic day. Hey everyone, thanks for listening. And be sure to subscribe to our channel and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok at Brick Wall Cinema. Have a cinematic day.